Hello fellow stewards, today we're going to be exploring hubs in Frostpunk 2. What are hubs? How can they synergize with our districts? And what is the best layout for all of their usage? This video will hopefully answer all of these questions, and if you stick around to the end, you'll be plopping down hubs in the most efficient way possible to create a completely resource neutral city. To start with, let's go through a quick primer on hubs. To access the hub menu, you simply press H or use the construct hubs button in the bottom right hand corner like this. When you first start out the game, you should only have a couple of hubs, all being stockpile hubs such as the fuel, material, goods, and food stockpile hub. To unlock the rest of the hubs, you will need to have built a research facility of some sort. Going into your ideas tree, into the hubs menu, there will be a bunch of extra hubs that you can unlock, being the rail hub, communication hub, surveillance, emergency, air transport, maintenance, and fighting hub. At this point, you might be asking, what exactly is a hub and what does it do? Well, you can put down any one of these hubs in an area and you can see around it is an area of effect. It has a proximity effect and each hub has a different proximity effect. Let's just quickly go through each hub and see what they all do. Every single hub will take 100 workforce to run, so I won't go through that when I go through each different hub. We'll just focus on what's different. So starting with the heating hub, it demands 25 material and will provide heat to neighboring districts. The maintenance hub demands heat and will reduce the material demand in neighboring districts. The rail hub will demand heat and materials, but it will increase the efficiency in neighboring districts. The air transport hub will demand heat and materials, but provide proximity workforce requirement reduction in neighboring districts. The surveillance hub will take heat and materials and reduce crime in neighboring districts. The emergency medical hub will reduce disease in neighboring district and takes heat and materials. The fighting hub takes heat and materials and reduces tension in neighboring districts. The communications hub will take heat and materials and increase trust in neighboring districts. The final four hubs are stockpile hubs. They will stockpile different resources such as fuel, material, goods, and food. They don't take up any maintenance cost, but they do require 100 workforce as well as with every other hub. Let's go over to somewhere where I have a district and let's place down a hub to see how they function. If we go to the hubs menu and we select any of our hubs, such as the heating hub, you can place it down anywhere you like. We can see that a hub has a sphere of influence that's 2 tiles wide surrounding it. The hub itself is only 1 tile wide. You can place it next to a district, and as long as 3 district tiles fall within the sphere of influence of the hub, that district will gain the bonus of the hub. You can see if I place my hub down here, my extraction district will gain a plus 40 heat bonus from that hub. Let's put one down and see how that works. With that hub now completed, you can see the hub is demanding 25 materials and 100 workforce, but it is giving a bonus to this district that it is adjacent to. Here in my extraction district, when we hover over this heat thing, we can see that the additional modifier is plus 40 from near heating hub. Now, the astute among you might be thinking, well, it doesn't seem to be very worthwhile to trade 25 material for plus 40 heat as well as 100 workforce requirement. So how can we lay this out more efficiently using a better layout and optimize the usage of our hub to maybe not just hit 1 district, but 2 districts or perhaps even 3 districts? There's a video on my channel about district layouts, which you can go check out. But I basically suggested that you should lay out your districts in this delta shape pattern such that you have 3 neighboring districts all benefiting from each other. Each district should be gaining a plus 20 heat bonus from the 2 adjacent districts. However, we're going to need to modify this design slightly so that we can fit some hubs in here to have the hubs hitting all 3 districts as well as having these 3 districts gaining the full heat bonus of being adjacent to one another. Let's go to a blank area to see first how we can do that in an ideal scenario. To maximize the usage of our hubs, we're going to create the center of our district first, and it's going to be formed by 3 hubs. It's worth noting you can't build the same 3 hubs in the same location. So if you build a heating hub here, you won't be able to build a second heating hub next to it. You can build it 1 tile out, but not directly next to it. So the center of my district is going to be formed by 3 different hubs. A heating, a maintenance, and a rail hub in this example. Let's let that build and see how we can lay out our district around these hubs. Now, I'm going to build the first example as an ideal world scenario with no limitations. And to do that, I'm going to be using 3 industrial districts. Obviously, in your game, you're probably going to be using real districts that take advantage of whatever node tiles there are, but I'll do that as an example later. This is how it would look in an ideal world. We start with a district and you're going to build opposite to the far one along one of these 3 edges. You can see all of these 3 edges form a triangle. So you want one district that covers these 3, you want one district that covers these 3, and you want one district that covers these 3. So I'm going to start with this edge. We're going to build 1, 2, 3. You can see this district now takes full advantage of all 3 of these hubs. Then once you've done that, we're going to keep these tiles free for the other districts. We will flare out the district like this, 1, 2, 3. Next, let's build in that second district. So if we bring in another industrial district, we can build 3 tiles that take full advantage of all of these hubs. You can see this one gets all 3, this one gets all 3, and this one gets all 3. And now we need to touch the other districts as well. So we're going to flare them out a little bit like this. And finally, we will build a third district that will do the same thing. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3. Now you can see all 3 districts are affected by the hubs, just like that. So let's let those districts build and see where we are at. All right, my districts are down. So you can see we have 3 hubs in the middle and we have 3 districts hugging those hubs. Let's just check that these hubs are indeed getting all of the benefits. So we can see the production is boosted by 1.5 from the nearby rail hub. The heat is reduced by +40 from the nearby heating hub, and it is reduced +40 maintenance from the nearby maintenance hub. Similarly, we can check for this second district over here. We are indeed getting the rail hub, we are getting the heating hub, and we are getting the maintenance hub. And finally, for the third district, that should all apply as well. There we go, rail hub, we've got the heating hub, and we've got the maintenance hub. So yes, they are all getting the hub bonuses. Now you can see while we're getting the hub bonuses on all 3 districts, they're not currently touching each other to get the heat adjacency bonus. So we're going to need to use the expansion of the districts to get that to happen. Remember, for a district to get the heat adjacency bonus, they need to be touching by 3 tiles. So for example, here, there's 1 touching here, there's 1 touching here, there needs to be 1 more touching here. Similarly, over here, there's 2 touching here, 2 touching here, and there needs to be another 1 touching here. So I like to just extend out these tails, as I call them, from the districts out on each district, and that should do it. So for example, let's take this district, hit the expand button, and let's just give it a longer tail like this, 1, 2, and give it like 1 more over here. We'll grab this district similarly and expand it, and we will give it a tail over here and another tail over maybe here, and maybe just 1 more over here. Finally, let's take our third district and give it the same treatment. Something like 1, 2, and 1 more over here. Let's let that run and let's see what bonuses will be applied after they finish building. All right, they have now finished building, and you can see they each have a tail that's touching every other district, so they should be getting that same delta pattern heat bonus that I explained in my district guide video. But now they are also getting the additional bonus from all the hubs. So let's have a look at the district and see all the juicy bonuses that they're getting in this configuration. We can see in one of these districts, they are getting +40 from being near a heating hub and +40 from being near industrial districts, because it is near 2 industrial districts for +20 each. It is getting the +1.8 from the near rail hub for production multiplier, and it is getting a +40 material cost reduction from the nearby maintenance hub. And that will be the same across all 3 districts. Make sure you check your districts to ensure you are indeed getting the +40 from being near the other districts, that you've got all your tails set up correctly. But that's basically it. You might be asking, why in the world would I possibly need all of these plus multipliers? Well, hubs are a little bit of an end game thing, right? They're not something that you're going to be building at the start of your game. I'm going to build some stuff on top of these districts to show you what I mean. Onto each of these industrial districts, I'm just going to slap down a couple of mechanical factories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to let those build, and then we'll see what the district requirements are for each section. Now, those mechanical factories are all built. Each district now has 2 factories on it. And we can see with those two factories, they demand a lot of heat and a lot of materials. So now we're taking full advantage of all of that maintenance hub and all of that heating hub bonus. Now, based on your own games, you're going to have to decide whether your hubs are worth it or not. Definitely the 3 central hubs are going to be worth it, because if you think about it, this one heating hub, you're trading 25 material and you're reducing the heat requirement by 40 for 3 districts. So you're essentially trading 25 material for 120 heat. But there's something else that we can do. Not sure whether it's going to be worth it for you. It's going to be dependent on where you're at with your workers, where you're at with your materials, and what you need, right? Depending on what you have a surplus in. But I'm just going to lay it out as an option for you guys. In this specific example, you can see each of my districts is still consuming 120 heat. Well, we can reduce that heat with, you guessed it, more hubs. You can see in this configuration, if I go to my hubs menu and build a heating hub, I can position heating hubs in specific locations that will cover 2 districts, not 3 districts, but 2 districts. Now, this is where you have to question whether it's worth it in your scenario, depending on your game. But for example, this is an option for you guys. I could put down a heating hub here, and I could put down another heating hub on the other side. And you can see now that will reduce both these districts by an additional 40 each, which is another 80. So let's plop those down. Let me build a couple more over here. We can plop one down here. Make sure when you're putting them down, you're putting them in a position where it does hit both districts. So for example, over here, we can put one over here, and we can put another 2 over here. And we'll let that run for a little bit and see where that gets us. Now you can see with my heating hubs done, we've got a total demand of 25 materials for each hub, but it is reducing the heat requirement down to 0 for all of them. We got plus 200 for being near heating hubs. It's pretty crazy. So you can tune these hubs accordingly to your specific demands. Now it's worth noting that hubs don't affect each other. They only affect districts. So you can't put a maintenance hub next to a heating hub and remove this demand for materials. They can only trade. Basically, that you're trading between resources, right? A heating hub trades materials for heat. A material hub trades workers and heat for materials, etc, etc, etc. You will have to find a good configuration depending on what you're building. It's going to vary district to district, and depending on what factories that you have here, you have to do a little bit of maths to see if it is worth doing. We can see in this case, this heating thing is reducing the heat demand by 80 across 2 districts. So essentially I'm trading 25 material for 80 heat. With the ideal scenario done, let's look at a slightly more realistic example. Over here, I have an old way station. Over here, I have a shallow coal seam. So I might want to build an extraction district somewhere along here, and I might want to build a logistics district somewhere along here. And then I can use an industrial district over here to create that pattern that I just showed you. Let's see how that might look. I like to start with one of my fixed nodes, such as the old way station. Let's start by building a logistics district that comes out in a straight line and then has a bit of a curve like that. This will give us some idea of where our hubs are going to go. I believe in this example, our hubs will probably go into these 3 tiles. So let's put down some hubs and see how that might look. I'm going to put down a heating hub. I'm going to put down a maintenance hub. Let's put down a final rail hub over here and see if we can't make our districts gain all of those benefits in the pattern we showed before. So we'll let those hubs build, and while they're building, we can build some of our other districts. The next one is going to be the extraction district. The extraction district needs to fall into these 3 tiles. We're probably going to have the extraction district come down something like this, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to get it to curve this way so we can touch the logistics district. Finally, we need to build ourselves an industrial district. You can try to get 3 fixed districts, but I really highly suggest not to do that. Our industrial district needs to hit these 3 tiles, so let's just place them here, and then it needs to go up and it needs to go down to touch the logistics district over here. So I'm just going to build mine something like that. Let's let all that build and see how it looks. Now, with all of those districts built, next thing we need to deal with is how we can expand these districts to get the neighboring heat adjacency bonuses. Let's go ahead and start expanding. We're going to start with the logistics district. Obviously, it needs to expand into this tile to take full advantage of this stuff. So we'll get it to expand this way maybe. Then we need to expand our extraction district for it to touch our logistics district. So it doesn't have any option but to expand sort of this way. So we'll get it to expand this way like that. And finally, we can expand our industrial district this way. We'll get it going one more tile to touch the extraction district, and then we'll get it expanding 2 tiles down this way to meet the logistics district. We'll let all those expansions build. Also, our extraction district is currently offline and it won't be providing any bonuses because it is on a deep melting drill site. So I do need to build a extraction building for deep melting drill onto it for the district itself to actually function. So we'll build one of those and let everything build and see if all those bonuses are now in effect. Great. With everything built now, we should be able to see that all of these districts should not only be benefiting from these 3 central maintenance hubs in the middle, they should also be getting the heat adjacency bonus for each other district. So let's see if that's actually happening. We'll go through each district carefully. So let's start with the industrial district. The industrial district is indeed getting the rail hub. It is indeed getting the heating hub, and it is getting the plus 40 for near a logistics district and plus 20 for being next to an extraction district. Great. It is getting the plus 40 from being near a maintenance hub. Excellent. So this district is indeed fully functional. It's getting the benefits from 2 neighboring districts as well as 3 maintenance hubs. Next is our expanded extraction district. It is indeed getting a nearby rail hub bonus of plus 22. It is getting a heat from nearby logistics and nearby industrial district and the heating hub, and it is getting a bonus from the maintenance hub of 40 material reduction. Finally, we have our logistics one. Our logistics thing is getting plus 40 from being nearby a heating hub and getting plus 20 from being near the other 2 districts. It is also getting a plus 40 modifier from being nearby a maintenance hub. It is, however, not getting anything from the rail hub because rail hub doesn't boost output of Frostland teams. So we can see all of these districts are benefiting from 2 other districts as well as 3 hubs. Now, looking at all 3 of my districts, we can see basically all 3 districts are completely neutral at the moment. They're not taking up much of anything except for this one with the deep melting drill. So let's build some extra buildings onto these and see how we can use more hubs to get all of these districts back to neutral after they have maximum buildings on top of them. So onto our industrial district, let's build ourselves 2 mechanical factories. We'll build one here and we will build another one here. And to our logistics district, let's build ourselves a Vanguard logistics bay. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, like what you might actually build on this, and a survivals headquarter. So we'll let all those build and see what requirements they come up with next. Now, with those extra buildings built, we can see all of these are now demanding a bunch of extra stuff. Our industrial district is demanding more heat. Our logistics district seems to be perfectly fine, and our expanded extraction district is demanding more materials. So we need to decide whether adding more maintenance hubs is actually going to be beneficial or detrimental. So obviously you can just add more hubs to get the demand down to 0. For example, if I want to reduce the material demand over here, I could just add in another hub, like a maintenance hub over here, to reduce the material requirement. But you got to ask yourself, is that worth it? Because a maintenance hub requires plus 20 heat and reduces 40 materials. So if you're in a massive heat surplus and you don't have many materials, like I don't in this case, then maybe it is worth putting down a material hub over here where it hits both these districts. It's going to give the plus 40 to this district, reducing it to 25, and it's going to give plus 40 here, will reduce it to 0, right? So you're not really getting too much benefit from it. In fact, you're only getting 45 material benefit out of that hub, and you're paying 20 heat. This is going to require a little bit of finesse, and it's going to change situation to situation. For example, if we look at our industrial district, it is demanding a lot of heat. So we can trade materials for heat with a heating hub. We can trade 25 materials to reduce the heating requirement of this district by plus 40. So you can decide if you want to do that or not. But all of that is going to vary depending on what buildings you put on your district, as well as what type of districts you're building. If you have 3 industrial districts running goods factories, they will all share the same demand. So of course, building a hub on each side of it is going to be beneficial because your hub is going to be reducing 2 demands at the same time by paying the cost of a single hub. But in my case, because these are demanding different things, this one is demanding heat and this one is demanding materials, using hubs to trade materials one for one, heat for materials and materials for heat, you can think of it as it's kind of worth it, but you're also trading in 100 workforce as well. So if you have a workforce surplus, sure, just slap down a bunch of hubs and it might be beneficial. But that's going to change scenario to scenario. I'm going to leave that with you guys to decide whether you want to put additional hubs onto the tails of all of this configuration. There certainly is an option for you to do that. Now, for completeness sake, let's do one more build with the other districts and hubs. So what if we created a hub for our social aspect? For example, we can build a district section with the central hubs being the communication hub, the emergency medical hub, and the surveillance hub. That will decrease crime, it'll decrease disease, and it will increase trust. So let's see how that would look. Let's build one here. Let's build a second one over here. And let's build our last hub over here. Now with our hubs building, we can figure out how to lay out our housing districts around it. Similarly to what we've explained before, if we go to our district section, we can build one housing district that goes like that. And then sort of fans out a little bit like this on either side. Then we can build our second housing district over here that takes advantage of these three tiles and then fans out probably this way and that way. And lastly, our third housing district will take advantage of these three tiles and will fan out this way and this way. Great, let's let the game run and build all those districts and see how to expand. With those districts done, we can check that each one is indeed getting all of the hub bonuses. So here we got the decrease from the medical hub, we've got the decrease from the surveillance hub, and we also have the trust rises slightly. We can see that similarly applies to all three of our districts. So indeed, our three housing districts are getting all of the hub bonuses. Now we need to expand them to get the heat bonuses. So let's do that quickly. So let's expand this one this way. We'll expand this one similarly, one tile this way and two tiles this way, maybe. Get it curving this way. And we'll expand this one out this way as well as this way. We'll let that go. Now, housing districts are a little bit different from regular districts in that they can be expanded twice. So you should have absolutely no problem creating this design with housing districts. If you need more tail for whatever reason, you can always expand it again. I'm just going to expand it any which way so I can get two buildings on top of it. So I might expand this one just backwards over here. I don't need this to be longer at all. So we'll just expand that this way. We'll get this one expanded this way. I don't need any more tiles that way either. So I'm just going to expand it backwards this way. And then for the third district, again, don't really need any more tiles. So we'll just expand it backwards this way so we can get more building slots. Now onto this section, I'm going to do some buildings. I'm going to build evenly. So we're going to build, for example, one research institute onto each section. And we're going to build one dense housing block into each section. All right, let's let that run. So now each district should take the same amount of demand because they've got the same amount of area and the same amount of buildings on top of it. So let's see what those demands are. It looks like they're all demanding 100 heat, right? So we can easily now add additional hubs to remedy that 100 heat. Let's just build one hub into each section and see how that would look. So if we grab our hub, we're going to grab a heating hub and we will put one over here. We'll make sure when you put down your heating hub, you are getting that flashing 3 district icon for 2 districts. So we'll put one down here. We'll put one over here. See, this area is not quite right, so we need to put it somewhere else, like for example here. And we will put one more heating hub over here. So you can see these heating hubs are very useful for this district because for the cost of 25 materials, you're reducing 40 heat in 2 districts. So you're trading 25 materials and 100 workers for 80 heat. Let's let that build and see how that looks. All right, with that done, you can see now each district houses 66 shelter for a puny cost of just 20 heat. And we've got 25 materials. Now, you can get that to 0, obviously, by just building another heating hub onto each section like that, but you'll have to decide whether that's worth it in your playthrough. If you've got an impending whiteout coming, maybe it is worth it because your temperature is going to drop again and that hub is going to be fully utilized. But in my current scenario, I don't think it's worth it because building a hub will only reduce 20 in 2 districts, which is a total of 40 reduction, and we're going to be paying 100 workforce and 25 material demand, so definitely not worth it. But you can see this layout is pretty good, right? We've got 3 research institutions, 3 dense housing blocks, providing a total of 66 times 3 shelter, and we're only paying a total of 20 times 3 heat, and we're only paying a total of 25 times 3 materials to reduce all that heat down that much. We're also obviously paying the cost in the middle for these 3 social districts that are reducing crime, disease, and increasing trust. But yeah, that's definitely worth it because it's increasing it for all 3 districts. So I believe that is definitely a good layout, an idea for you guys. If you guys think you can do better on top of this layout, let me know in the comments. But that's all, guys. That is my layout guide for hubs and districts. The key takeaway from this video is that you can position 3 hubs into the center of 3 districts, and those 3 hubs will benefit all 3 districts. And you can lay out your districts with expansion such that they're all touching and gaining 2 adjacency bonuses. And you should be able to create some very heat neutral or resource neutral districts and setups. Now, you can also use additional buildings and hubs at your own discretion to benefit 2 districts at once on the wings of this build. So use that at your own discretion and do your own maths and calculations to find out whether that's worth it for your playthrough. But that's all for this video. Hope you guys got some inspiration and ideas out of that for your Frostpunk playthroughs. Good luck on your captain's modes. Hopefully you can utilize some of my builds to help you out. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like and a subscribe, and I will see you in the next guide. Alternatively, you can go check out my channel, and I have a Let's Play series where I play through the full game if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.